Hi everyone, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be doing a rant style video. I've got a few more of these planned for the future, but today I am specifically going to be discussing asking your animal friends how to care for your animal. I'm sure most people who kind of have the reputation of being the animal lover in their group or the person with a lot of pets has been asked on multiple occasions by people in their life how to care for specific animals, and this is a phenomenon I think just really needs to stop. I personally think that it's really presumptuous that the animal lovers in your life know how to care for, especially properly, the animals that you personally decide to get. I also think it's really selfish. If you decide you're going to get an animal, it is up to you to do that research. You shouldn't be falling back on your friends or family to tell you how to do that properly. I've also found in the vast majority of cases, none of the people who come to me asking for advice on how to care for these animals are actually even going to listen to my advice in the first place. I am personally more than willing to offer good resources, but I am done being the person who tells you specifically how to care for your animal. But even when I send those resources, it's very unlikely that the people who decide to come to me in the first place for the advice are actually going to read those articles, watch those videos, or even change anything about their care. On top of that, the vast majority of the time I have been asked how to care for an animal, it's an animal I have next to no experience with. I will be as helpful as I can be where possible. But if you're gonna ask me how to care for rodents, which I have literally never owned, the most I can do is send you sources that I think are reputable and maybe tell you the basic information that I know, which again is barely anything. Why are we buying hamsters with the intent to later that same day ask your friend how to care for it when you've already gone out of your way to spend $100 to buy the incorrect materials for it? You're not gonna listen anyway, clearly, you've spent the money. You just want to be told that what you're doing is correct and that you're doing nothing wrong so that your ego can be stroked or something. I'm not going to be that person who says, oh, you are doing everything correct, because more often than not, that is not true. My experience personally lies in dogs, cats, ball pythons, crested geckos, and some species of fish. If you ask me how to care for anything more complicated than a crested gecko, most I can do is provide reputable sources. I barely even know the size enclosure that a leopard gecko requires. I know how big they get on average, and that is where my knowledge ends. I've been asked how to care for rats and hamsters, and again, more often than not, any of the advice that I give is falling on deaf ears. One of my friends got a hamster however many years ago, bought it the worst substrate that you can find at PetSmart, put it in a 10-gallon tank, had maybe a wheel, a water bowl, and food, and that was it. That isn't even bare minimum for a hamster. I know more about hamsters than I do a lot of other rodents, not that I've kept them, but I do know that they require significantly larger enclosures than that. Cages just really are not beneficial to them. They need way more enrichment than most of what you can find at PetSmart, and again, the substrate was totally incorrect. But when they came to me asking how to properly care for it, I basically just got the response of, oh, okay, and then it was never posted online again. I have no idea what happened to that hamster. I'm sure it died fairly soon after, because a lot of incorrectly cared for hamsters do. But it wasn't even bare minimum care. There was next to no effort put into it. It was just the cheapest materials you could find at your closest local pet store and then called it a day. We shouldn't be going into pets with that mindset. We shouldn't be falling back on the people in our life to tell you how to care for your animal. That animal you have decided by getting it is your responsibility. It's one thing to ask for advice on how to do it better, but if you're going to be asking for advice, actually do something about it. I even ended up with a snake that lives behind me because someone in my life decided on a whim that they wanted a ball python, put it in way too small of an enclosure, wanted advice on how to properly care for it, and when I sent over all of that information, because I actually did know quite a bit about ball pythons prior, I don't think any of it was read, because I received the snake being incredibly dehydrated with very dry substrate, totally incorrect setup, the wrong lights, all of that. Thankfully, I knew I was going to end up with this snake because the person had decided the day that they got it that if they couldn't care for it, that they were willing for it to go to me. So I just had to wait 2 months before they decided they couldn't care for it properly. But why are we doing that? Why are we asking for advice and then not actually listening to it? Or why are we getting animals despite not knowing anything? It doesn't even matter how explicitly you put the information out there, because again, when I got the snake, I had given all of that information. I stated that the substrate needed to be thoroughly soaked, and they claimed they had done that, but upon getting it, you could tell that had never been done because it was bone dry. There's maybe been one time in my life that I've been asked by a friend how to care for an animal I actually had in the past and had experience on, and that was betas, which almost universally seem to be incorrectly cared for, but they had decided to get the beta, asked how to care for it, and when I stated that the tank really needed to be cycled, again, in one ear and out the other, I don't think anything ever changed with that. I haven't heard any updates on that fish. I'm sure it's dead by now. But basically, I just think it's really irresponsible, selfish, and quite frankly dumb to get an animal having not done any research and then expecting your friends to, I don't know, either pat you on the back or tell you how to care for the animal that you have decided you want to take responsibility for, especially when you're not going to do anything to actually take that advice and better their lives. That's all for this video. If I keep going, I'm just going to run in circles, but if you've had experiences with people in your life doing this, let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.